This is the Global News Podcast from the BBC World Service. I'm Alex Ritson, and at 13 hours GMT on Friday the 22nd of June, these are our main stories. The UN Human Rights Office says the rule of law in Venezuela has virtually disappeared, with the security forces carrying out extrajudicial killings with impunity. The Italian Interior Minister has called for a migrant rescue ship in the Mediterranean to be seized and its crew arrested. Ethiopia's government says it's lifted restrictions on more than 250 websites and broadcasters that had been blocked. Also in this podcast, so how much of the disco music that defined New York nightclub culture in the 1970s is now heard in present-day music? A university conference investigates. The rule of law is virtually absent in Venezuela. That's the conclusion of a United Nations investigation into alleged extrajudicial killings by the security forces. The UN Office for Human Rights says it has credible accounts of security forces raiding poor neighbourhoods and killing young men, often in their homes. Its report includes testimonies of family members of some of the victims, such as this one.
They killed my children and my nephews in less than 30 minutes. And now it's been 2 years and there is nothing conclusive. It's not fair that someone should lose their children. It's not only my case. I've seen on TV there are lots of mothers crying out because their children were killed. I have to spend my life alone. Nobody knows how it feels or what we think. It is torture for me. It is my goal to seek justice and to see those men in jail.
The report was published earlier today at the UN Human Rights Headquarters in Geneva, from where our correspondent Imogen Folks gave us this update.
Well, what the report alleges is a pattern of security services going into poor neighbourhoods in Venezuela and conducting raids, theoretically, ostensibly, to arrest what they say are criminals, but without judicial warrants, and then often killing people, young men, rather than arresting them, often killing them in their own homes in front of their families. And of particular concern, next on from the concern about the extrajudicial killings, is the fact that it seems the crime scene is then being tampered with to make it look as if this was some form of firefight in which criminals were killed. So UN Human Rights Office saying nobody's being held to account for this. There appears to be no judicial process, no real attempt to fight crime, and is therefore sending this report to the International Criminal Court.
Now, given that the UN isn't allowed into Venezuela, what independent evidence is there for these allegations?
Well, it used to be, that if UN investigators couldn't get into a country, then it was very, very difficult to do a report. But we are living in the 21st century now, and we have the sharing of information electronically. We have Skype, we have email, and this is how the investigators conducted this.